My name is Garrett Whalen. I'm professor of cybersecurity here at Long Beach City College, and this is going to be the first in kind of a series of videos on getting started in cybersecurity, ethical hacking, and specifically capture the flag, right? So there's a ton of capture the flag competitions out there, but you need, well, one, you need a tool set in order to be able to do lots of the challenges, like cracking passwords, like, reviewing data that's been sent over a wireless network, looking at logs, scanning and finding vulnerabilities. You need a tool to do that. And two, you need some other tools to play around with to see something that's vulnerable that you can actually test out your hacking on. So we're going to create a virtual environment using a tool called Virtualbox, and with Kali Linux, which is our hacking Linux distro, and Metasploitable, which is our vulnerable distribution. We're going to set that all up today. I'm doing it on a Windows machine because that's what most of you are going to have, but Virtualbox runs on Windows or Linux or Mac, so you can do it anywhere, and it's going to be pretty much the same process. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. Now, I already have Virtualbox installed here, but if you are installing it, it goes a little something like this. Go ahead and close those. We'll come back to those later. So you're going to go to, as you can see, I've already run through this once. You're going to Google Virtualbox download and go right here to download. So Virtualbox is, again, free open source. It allows you to create virtual machines, which is a software hosted machine. So I can literally have computers running inside my computer, which is what I want. You're going to go to Windows hosts and download that executable. Then you're going to run it. And next, boom, bada boom, yes, install. Then, yes, I want to do it. Now, we are always going to trust everything from Oracle. And we're going to start it up. So, move this over a little bit so you can see. This is the Oracle VirtualBox Manager. Here I can create new virtual machines. I can add virtual machines that are already created, or I can import. Mostly what we're going to do is import. We're going to find virtual machines that other people have already created. They've done the hard labor. We're just going to bring it in. So I'm going to, before I import, I have to download it. So let's go here and let's open up another tab and let's do Kali Linux Virtualbox download. And we go to the official Kali Linux downloads. Now, these here at the top, those are installers. So that would be like downloading the actual DVD that you would put into the drive. We don't want to do that. We want to find one that somebody else has already created for us. And luckily down here, look, there's some for VMware, and then this one for VirtualBox. So we're going to go right here and download it from here. That's going to save us a lot of time because they've worked out most of the kinks. And you can choose 32-bit or 64-bit. You pretty much always want to choose 64-bit. And I'm going to start downloading. And give it some time. All right, and once it's downloaded, we will go to our downloads folder. And there it is. So this is a OVF file, so it's a file that's designed to be portable across systems. So I need to import it so that I can run it in my virtualization tool. So I'm going to, just to kind of go back, I'm going to click on import. Then I'm going to browse to where it is. And it is in downloads. I'm going to click there, click open, click next. We're going to leave the defaults here, and everything should work fine. Click import. And just let this run its course. All right, when all is said and done, I have this virtual machine here. And I'm not going to start it up yet. First, I'm going to change a few settings. Let me go to Tools. No, actually, let me go back here to Kali. If I click on Settings, most of these you shouldn't have to mess with. one that you do play around with sometimes is network. Now notice by default, it's attached to NAT, network attached storage, which means it shares the IP address with the host machine, right? Which allows it to talk to the outside world, but makes it kind of difficult if it wants to talk to another virtual machine. So what we want to do is Nat Network, right? And right here, there is a Nat Network created, so it's going to let me do that. So I'm going to click OK. If that wasn't there, you would go here to Tools, you would click on Preferences, and then go to Network, and you click this little Add button here, right? So if you had to create it, that's how you would do it. But as long as here under Network, this says Nat Network, we're good. Now I'm going to start this bad boy up. And this is sometimes an issue you run into with Virtualbox on Windows. I've never had this issue with anybody else. And it's this USB 2 thing. So if you get an error like this, click OK. Let's go back to Settings, and let's just disable the USB controller and try it again. There we go. And so at this point, I can choose advanced options or just to go with the boot. We're going to just boot it. You get these annoying auto capture messages all the time. Let me go ahead and make this fit the window here. There we go. So this is our login for Kali Linux, and by default, on these ones that you download that are pre-installed, the username is root, and the password is tour, or root backwards, and it's going to let me in. And this looks pretty much like any other Linux distro, since it's got this cool background. And if I click under here under Applications, what we'll see is all of these different security tools are pre-installed. That's really the only difference between Kali and anything else. You could use any Linux distro and do everything you do in Kali, but you'd have to install it all yourself, and it'd be a pain. So now these tools for information gathering, for vulnerability analysis, for web application analysis, and then I can hit the little triangle here, and there are more specific tools, right? Web vulnerability scanners, web crawlers, all of these things. So all the things that I want to do in a secure environment, I can't, or it should be in a security setting, I can do here. I have password crack, everything is here. I'm going to go ahead and minimize that. Right, so we have Kali, we have our cracking tool, we have our tool set. Now we need to get something that we can attack, right? And for that we want Metasploitable. Let me open up another tab and Google Metasploitable, and we're going to go to SourceForge and go ahead and click on Downloads. And they make it deliberately slow, and I'm sure I could find this on BitTorrent if I looked. But this will take a minute or two to download. Okay, so now it's downloaded. Go ahead and minimize that, and if I go back to my downloads folder, you'll see, okay, we have the zip file here. Let me go ahead and right-click and extract all. Boom, bada boom. And now there is the Metasploitable 2 Linux folder, and if I go into that, we see some of the same files that we saw before. Let me go ahead and close that. Okay, so if I go back and I click Import, and go back to the old one, and I click Browse, and I go to Downloads, and I go to Metasploit. Wait, there's nothing here, because there's no OVF OVA files, right? And that's because they created a Metasploit virtual machine as a VMware machine. But we're not using VMware because I want something that's open source that you can run anywhere. And VMware only works on Windows machines. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to create a new machine and attach that hard drive that they gave us. So we're going to call this Meta. It's going to be a Linux machine, and it doesn't really matter what we put here. I'm just going to say other Linux 64-bit. Click Next. 1024 RAM is plenty. You could actually get away with 512 just fine. and I'm going to use an existing hard disk. And here I'm going to browse, and I have to add. If I go to downloads, Metasploitable, so here's where I browse to where that extracted. And now I'm going to add the hard disk that's in there and say, okay, I'm creating a new machine, but I want you to use that old hard disk, because that's where everything about the virtual machine is stored. Now here in my settings, I want to go to network, and again, I want to use that Nat Network that we created before. Boom, bada boom, and let's start that bad boy up. Okay, now I'm at the login screen, and I'm going to log in. Remember, the username and password are both msfadmin. And all I really log in to do is to check the IP address with ifconfig. And we see that my internet address is 10.0.2.5. And if I go back over here to Kali, go ahead and log in again. If I check my internet address with ifconfig, we see here at 10.0.2.15. So they're different. Whereas if we just left that networking at the default, they'd be the same. And I can test to see if I can connect to the other one with ping 10.0.2.5. And we see that I'm getting a response. I'm going to hit Control-C to end that. Now I'm going to open up a web browser. And here I'm going to type in 10.0.2.5, and boom, we see that I'm at the Metasploitable web page for my server. So now I can do things like configure the damn vulnerable web app, the TWiki, all these other things that we use from Metasploitable. Now the truth is, from now on, every time we do anything, we will start up Metasploitable, but we don't have to log in anymore. I know I can connect to it and everything's fine. Unless the IP address gets changed, everything is good to go. And it shouldn't, because when I click to shut down, I'm going to save the machine state. So I'm going to come back in exactly where I left off. And again, with the Metasploit machine, I'm also going to save the machine state. And that's it. That is our little test environment. And we will log into Kali and run a few tools in our next set of videos to kind of scan Metasploitable and see what's up. Hope this was informative. If you have any questions, let me know.
After I made that video, I had a couple other things I remembered I wanted to tell you guys about. Number one, if you have questions, you can contact me directly at garrettwhalen@gmail.com. And also you can send a message to that email and ask to be invited to my Capture the Flag Slack space, where we're going to talk about different competitions that are going on, what different tools are out there, or anything like that. So that's another way you can get more information about what we're doing with Capture the Flag. Hope that helps.